My name is Daria. This is day 9 of my 30 days till 30, and today I would like to share a couple of things about an exhibition we visited today. So there's an exhibition right now at Serpentine Gallery by Arpita Singh called Remembering. She is an Indian artist born in 1937 and she's still alive. She's 88 now, and considering that some of her paintings dated 2022, I wish I have this mental and physical capacity at my ages to keep working on my art and produce such beautiful material. This is her first exhibition outside of India, first solo exhibition outside of India, and it is gorgeous. I want to share a couple of things about that, but if you are in London by any chance, go and see it. It's free. It's on until 27th of July. The exhibition is split in two parts. One is her oil paintings, another one is her works on paper, and I want to say something about both of those. In the oil paintings, when you go through them chronologically, you see and you notice the use of letters. In the beginning, the letters are mostly just like spread on the canvas, only occasionally forming one, maybe a couple words, because a lot of your paintings are in one way or another exploring the memories of violence and persecution and war. Some of these words are stop, bits of newspapers, how many people were killed then and there. Sometimes she utilizes words as a map legend, because some of her paintings, they look like maps. They kind of explain what certain symbols mean, not necessarily literally. But at some point you start seeing her using the words more and more in the painting, occasionally utilizing the words themselves to represent the object they are describing, like water, leaf, paper flower, which in a sense, while the painting itself explores something chaotic and dangerous and violence, the words provide some sort of stability. The water is water, the leaf is leaf, the paper flower is paper flower, the boat is boat.
तो उस तरह लेटर्स आया आहिस्ता आहिस्ता कई दफ़ा कई जगह पर अपने आप ही वर्ड्स फॉर्म हो जाते हैं तो इसलिए वर्ड्स भी आए.
And what I find myself experiencing throughout like the exhibition is my body and my conscience started responding to the words, and I love words, if you haven't noticed yet. And I would just find myself repeating the words out loud, the ones I see. And because these words, they're not just written in a line, you know, in a printed font on a piece of paper. They have their positions in the canvas, they have their sizes, they have the intensity of the paint, the lines might break unexpectedly, and so I found myself reading these words as the canvas tries to get me to do it in a way. And it's not a conscious process. I found myself in this just like in a sort of trance when I would sometimes just lock in on the words and supplementing the words with an occasional vocal stim that I have. Again, not consciously, it's just like a little ooh and oh. And it seems silly, and it is kind of silly, but it was just interesting to find myself speaking to the visual works of art and textual works of art this way. The second part of the exhibition, as I said before, were works on paper, and part of it was her black and white drawings. and etchings. And I want to read to you what is written in the exhibition guide. There's a quote by Arpita herself and another person describing her drawings from that period. So from Arpita: "For me, it wasn't abstraction. I just practiced dots and lines, that's all. At some point, I couldn't move easily across the surface of a canvas. I had to pause and think every time. What shall I do next? I thought it should come automatically. I paint one thing and the next thing will follow. So I gave up everything and made the basic elements in art. Dot and line, dot and line. I repeated it for 6 years. It gave me a certain freedom. Now I can make things easily." And the quote by Deepak Amnanth says, "In these drawings, tiny strokes and filaments of black ink mesh together to ensnare the surface of the white page on which they are inscribed. An intricately textured net or garment that brings to mind analogies with knotting and knitting, stitching and weaving, in other words, the domain of the textile and, by extension, that of the text." I find this quote incredibly beautiful. It kind of gives me permission to continue exploring my dots and lines, and shapes, because for a long time my primary mode of drawing is lines and dots, abstractions, which I do not necessarily give in any conscious meaning. I just allow the lines to happen. I have a certain set of them, and I just combine them in a way that flows, in a way that's true to the movement of the hand and the movement of the material in this hand, be it a spray paint, a marker, or a ink pen. And it gives me some certain permission to experiment and try to expand my vocabulary of dots and lines and their combinations. So that is very inspiring. Again, the exhibition is running until 27th of July. It is free. It is in Hyde Park. You might have a good day, so go and see it. And thank you so much for listening to me, and I'll see you tomorrow.